Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How are ya? I'm going to change my my window here to get a little bit more of the backdrop so that you can see the message that we have back there, which is Fire Boone. Just want to make sure we get that in the picture there so that we all know exactly how Yankee fans are feeling this morning. This is the third angry voicemail-driven episode of the season. Typically, I only do these type of episodes when the voicemails begin to pile up, and they pile up a lot more when the Yankees are playing very poorly, as they are right now. 50-47, last place in the East, hitting just .230 as a team, which is atrocious. Carlos Rodon, the big offseason acquisition, not only missed half the season, but he is now 0-3 with a 7.36 ERA since returning. Has not been good, has not looked good. Last night blew a kiss at the fans. Not a great way to get on their good side. Wouldn't be surprised if he hears a smattering or a chorus of boos when he takes the mound in the Bronx next time. Yankees off today, and then they open up with Kansas City. Typically, you would think that Kansas City would be easy wins, easy pickings for the Yankees, but the way they have played, it is going to be anything but. Jesse Alfred says, do you think the Yankees should make a big move at the deadline to salvage the season? I do not. I think they will make some moves, but I think they'll be more geared toward next season and towards building roster flexibility. And I think they could be surprising. I think you might see somebody like Giancarlo Stanton actually get moved if he's willing to waive his no-trade clause. You might see somebody like Gleyber Torres get moved. But today is more about the viewers and the voicemails that are driving this episode. But before I get to that, because I forgot to read it last night, I do have to read a quick ad. NYY Recaps, sponsored by Game Time, the fastest-growing ticket app in the world for a reason. Download the Game Time app on your phone or other smart device, or visit gametime.co to get last-minute tickets on all your favorite events, baseball, sports, concerts, theater, comedy, you name it. You can find it on Game Time. Use the code NYY Recaps for $20 off your first purchase. Game Time. Lowest price on last-minute tickets guaranteed. Thank you to those guys. Great sponsors. I always try and give these angry voicemail episodes a little bit of a flair by giving them, somewhat silly titles. So today is Angry Voicemails 3, The Legend of Curly's Gold.
Hey, Derek. Chris, first-time caller. I have two things to get off my chest because, honestly, I'm about to have a nervous breakdown. First thing, what are your thoughts about the guys, Anthony Volpe, I think Rizzo, smiling in the dugout when they're down 4 runs today? On top of which we have Gleyber Torres, pre-game, chasing his buddy on the Angels around with a stuffed cat, thinking it's all dollars. This is what you're doing. I mean, did Derek Jeter do this when he was in last place? Did he chase around guys, or did Kobe Bryant do that when he was dead last place? I mean, I'm at a loss for words. And then, how are we not sending up Rorschach? I don't understand. Higgy with 2 passed balls today. It's comical. This team is comical. And I don't get it. And I'm at my wit's end. My head's about to explode. And then don't even start with the freaking Rodon blowing a kiss to the Yankee fans who are pissing you. You just got blown out for 6 runs, and you're blowing kisses to and this is year 1 of a 6-year contract. Dude, put me out of my misery.
That's a great voicemail. It's a great voicemail. Yankees fans are passionate. So on the smiling while losing thing, I agree that's frustrating to see. I mean, these are still human beings. They're still kids. Gleyber Torres is in his mid-20s. He's trying to have fun. I mean, these guys have got to have at least some levity at some point. But I agree with you. During the game, when you're losing, I don't want to see guys horsing around in the dugout. I don't want, that's where somebody like Aaron Judge, somebody like Anthony Rizzo needs to step up and, take that leadership role and say, hey, look, we're losing. This is not what losing looks like. Nobody wants to see us, gushing with laughter and having a good time and, being playful and silly and all that jazz when we're down and when we've lost 9 out of our last 11 games. I agree with you 100% that it's frustrating, and I think that somebody in that clubhouse needs to step up. Typically, that's something that the manager could do too, but we know that Aaron Boone refuses to kind of push these guys in any way, shape, or form beyond their comfort zone. So, great voicemail.
Hey, Derek, it's Izzy from Izzy's Life Vlog. I just want to tell you, man, I just watched your rant. Well, I'm in the middle of it, and I totally agree with what you said. And a lot of what you said has just made me think, like, this team currently constituted is not the team that I grew up watching when I was a kid with my mom and grandfather on summer mornings or afternoons watching the games together. They had Tino, Paul O'Neill, and all these great guys that are amazing hitters. And this team right now that we're dealing with can't hit their way out of a paper bag. I just wanted to give you my thoughts, and I hope you have a great day, man. Hopefully, we can turn it around for 2024 and get back to the top. Have a good day, Derek. See ya.
I appreciate that, Izzy. It's always great to reflect on the memories of, what made you a fan. It's those good feelings that you have, watching the game. And I still remember the first time going to Yankee Stadium like it was yesterday, walking through that dark tunnel and you see the light just kind of hit you and you see the green grass. And it was so much better and crisper than watching on our old TV. And the smell, certain things just stick with you. I can think of Yankee Stadium and the smell comes back to me instantaneously, even though I haven't been there in a couple of years. So, as a fan, we long for those great memories, those awesome times. But also as a fan, you have to deal with the down times. Most fans have to watch their team go through ruts. We as Yankees fans have been lucky that over the last quarter century, we've been in the playoffs most years. We've been in contention almost for 25 years now, I'd say. More than that, actually. Like 27, 28 years we've been in contention. Derek Jeter only played, I think, a couple of games in his entire career where his team was eliminated. Most fan bases don't get to watch the arc of a player like that or a career like that. So we do have to be thankful that we have seen a lot of great things from this organization over years. But, like every business, there are, bullish years and bearish years. And this is definitely a bearish year. We are suffering from, I think, too many cooks in the kitchen in terms of executives. I think they got too many people sitting around the table, too many analytics fighting with the traditional people. And I think it's a bad mix of personalities in the clubhouse. Obviously, there's not enough fighters. There's not enough edge. That's the one thing about that Cashman said about Donaldson when they got him was that he had an edge that we were missing. And I feel like in the beginning of his tenure with the Yankees, that might have been true, but he seems to have been really watered down since he's gone into a bad slump the last, 100 games or so. And I don't know if you can call it a slump at that point. And he's been not around the team so much that, when he is around, he almost feels neutered. It feels like a very watered down version of that edgy guy. Now, I liked seeing Tommy Kahnle smash the fan last night. I want to see more of that. I want to see more guys pissed off about losing. I want guys who hate to lose more than they love to win. That's very important. That's what Derek Jeter was like.
Derek, this is Tony, the Connecticut Yankee. I hate to say it, but Rondon is another dud. Call up Frankie Montas. Take care.
Frankie Montas. Well, first of all, we can't call up Frankie Montas. He's injured. He had the surgery, and apparently he's still feeling shoulder pain, so that's a complete dud. He's not coming back this year. I am worried about Rodon because the back injury, he may very well put it together and have a nice streak, in the second half. And I hope he does, and I hope he rights the ship. But right now, we know how important it is to get off on a good first impression with the Yankees fans. And he's off to a terrible impression, not only missing half the season, with what seems like a mystery ailment, and now you hear chronic back injury. But I think his stuff has been sporadic since he came back. His fastball was good the first couple of starts. Last night it was down a little bit. The breaking ball had nothing last night. Now you can blame the second start possibly on Colorado, but last night there should be no excuse. So you just hope that he turns it around. We'll see.
Hi, Derek. This is Tony from Bradbury, Connecticut. Yes, the Yankees are unwatchable. I haven't been watching them now for about a week. My choice for GM, Derek Jeter, and the head coach, Jorge Posada. Thanks, Derek. Have a good day.
I do think Posada would be an excellent manager because he's one of those people who held other players accountable when he was a player himself. If Jeter wasn't the captain, I always felt like Posada would have been a great captain because he took the game, serious as a heart attack. He was deadly serious, man, and he was focused. Catchers are the smartest people on the field typically. Now, he was not a good base runner. He's not a smart base runner, but he was a very heads-up player, would do anything for this team. He became a better hitter as he got older. He learned more about hitting. Switch hitter who hit 338 one year. I mean, that's a valuable asset to have in the clubhouse. I feel like he understands what it takes to win as a team, that you got to make productive outs sometimes, that you got to show up, you got to work hard. And I don't think he's somebody that would tolerate guys yucking it up in the clubhouse when you're down, 6-0 or 6-1. I like that idea. Now, as far as Jeter goes as the GM, I don't know if he wants to do it, but if he did, I would certainly be receptive to it. But, only because he was an owner and he understands the front office, I'm also a little bit skeptical about first-time GMs. I would rather see Jeter come in as like a consultant to somebody like Theo Epstein, like a vice GM, to kind of get a feel for personalities and who has the right temperament to play in New York.
Hey, this is Nick. The problem with the Yankees is when we built the team in the 90s, we had Bob Watson and Stick Michael. Actually, Steinbrenner was taken out of the picture because all he was doing was buying just old, overpriced veterans that couldn't perform anymore. When he was forced out of the picture and Bob Watson and Stick Michael had a free hand, that's when you saw the Yankees build up and get the core four. Unless we have something similar to that again, and I don't know who we could really trust to be in those positions, this is going to continue because Hal is doing something like his father did, because that's what his father did, actually. And I'm 63 and I've been watching the Yankees since I was about 8 years old, so I've seen some bad times and I've seen some good times. But the reason why we did so well and had that dynasty in the 90s is because George Steinbrenner was banned from baseball for 2 years, and Stick Michael, Bob Watson, and Buck Showalter made that team what it was in the 90s. And unfortunately, Buck never got his fair share of that because he was released and never gained the glory of all the work he put in. But until then, my friend, this is what you're going to see no matter what.
So, got a comment that somebody wants the same hat that I've got. You can get this via my store, NYYRecaps.shop. So, great voicemail. You do bring up a good point that, some of the things that Hal does, spending on the wrong players, is something that George does. I think, looking back at George, his legacy was of a very hands-on owner who was very passionate about winning. He didn't always make the right move, but he always tried. And if he made the wrong move, he was quick to correct it. Sometimes too quick, But I feel like I feel like Yankees fans want Hal to be more hyper attentive. We never see him in the owner's box watching the game. George was there almost every night. He was, there watching and folded arms, and he would make sure that the camera saw him if the Yankees were playing bad. He gave people a sense of discomfort that made them focus on their game. And I think that, Hal isn't like that. Hal's not a guy who wants to watch games from the stadium. I think he watches them from his penthouse or from his yacht, or, well, he doesn't have a yacht, right? Remember, from his plane. But I feel like Yankees fans want an owner who's hyper-focused on winning and hands-on, because that's how most of us would run it, and that's how most of us grew up watching it. Appreciate the call.
Hey, Derek. Love your show.
Appreciate it.
In today's day and age, so many people are quiet quitting, meaning that they just do the minimum or less, collect their paycheck, and go home. It seems like the Yankees are doing that now. Do you think people who make $10, $20, $30 million a year have some problem with collecting that paycheck when they play the way they do? Or, better yet, when they're injured all the time? Again, love your show. Thanks a lot. I'm in Tucson, Arizona. Bye.
Tucson. For some reason, whenever I read Tucson, like the word written out, I always pronounce it Tuscan, even though I know how it's, what it's supposed to. It's just weird. I've actually been there. It's actually a really, really great place. So, I hear what you're saying about people quiet quitting. I don't think that's applicable here. I don't think people are intentionally giving up. Although it wouldn't surprise me, the farther they fall out, we have seen teams kind of just pack up shop and, really go into, well, we're not doing well, let's get a great draft pick mode. I could see that happening. I think maybe there are some guys on this team who are not giving 100% every time out. But for the most part, it's just a talent issue. It's a coaching issue. It might be a chemistry issue. I definitely think it's a roster construction issue. Abreu is one of those guys that, sometimes when he comes into pitch, he doesn't seem like he wants to be there. You see that with some guys. But I think at large, everybody wants to play. Everybody loves to play. They've devoted their lives to this. But there is something to be said for, being comfortable. If you have $20 million in the bank, are you really going to turn it up that extra notch when it's 102 degrees outside and you're dying of, heat exhaustion? Look, there's something to be said for that, but I don't think it's an intentional, quiet quitting like you would see, in a corporate office, which, by the way, is it's something you see more and more these days. People in general, they're not as focused and prideful in their profession, and maybe that does extend to Major League Baseball. I don't know, but I've always felt like if you were getting paid, you give 110%. And final voicemail. This one comes from our man Simon.
Hi, Derek. It's your boy Simon calling from New Haven, Connecticut. I am so angry and so pissed off. Hal Steinbrenner's got to have some balls and fire Boone already. How much more losing do we have to endure before he gets it? He wants to know why we're upset? It's because of the same goddamn thing every single day. Ground out, pop up, ground. We don't need baseball bats. We need ping pong pedals. And this new coach is supposed to work miracles. So far, the same thing. We got to get rid of Boone and we got to get a different hitting coach. Enough is enough already. If he doesn't fire Boone soon, he's going to suffer the Brett Gardner curse. And we're going to keep popping up and striking out forever. If that's what Hal Steinbrenner wants, that's what will happen. I already put fire.
All right, Simon. The voicemail went on for a bit longer, but I understand what you're saying. It's very frustrating to watch the pop-ups and the ground-outs and the strikeouts and just the weak outs and never really putting any kind of pressure on the pitcher. It's incredibly frustrating, and I hear you. And look, I feel the same way. I tweet about it all the time. If you don't follow me on Twitter, it's at NYY Recaps Derek. A lot of times I tweet my frustrations during the game. A lot of what I say ends up in the post-game script, but I feel like the same types of outs are happening over and over again. Everybody trying to get that launch angles, trying to hit home runs, and you hit the top half of the ball, you end up hitting a weak ground ball or trying to pull an outside pitch. When guys are throwing 100+ miles an hour these days, you got to have more contact, guys. You got to make more rallies happen. Thank you for everybody who tuned in.
Game over, man. Game over.
I see more voicemails coming in, but I will review them later. Once again, gametime.co or Gametime app. Use the code NYY Recaps for $20 off of your first purchase. Yankees are off today,
Most impressive.
and then they are back tomorrow night. I will be back with a recap, and I will see ya when I see ya. Have a great Thursday, everybody. Best of luck.
Ball game over.
Most impressive.